Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from where you used to live in Hopkinton. Where are you now?
Framingham.
She's at Framingham. All righty. Mal Duane. And Mal is an author, and she's a spiritual and life teacher. And she sent me this book, and it is wonderful. Broken Open, Embracing Heartache and Betrayal as Gateways to Unconditional Love. See if you can catch this. There'll be a copy downstairs, and we're going to talk about how you can get her book. We're going to go into this. This is based on a lot of your own experience.
Yes.
How did you decide to write this?
Everything I write about is from my own life experiences, and they're usually painful ones that have very important lessons. And this situation really brought me to my knees. I was a woman that felt really broken open, like a gutted animal. And so I started going to support groups and different meetings for women in this situation of betrayal and heartache. And what I discovered was that there were so many other women out there in this deep pain, and it had never been resolved. And they were 5 years, 10 years, 15 years out from the incident, but still filled with anger and resentment, which was impacting their health. And they said, "I'll never love again." To me, that was more tragic than what initially happened to them. And I said, I've got to look deeply into this. There's got to be a better way to handle all of this. As a woman who's been in a failed marriage or relationship, there's got to be a better way to heal this situation for us. Yeah. So that inspired my work and looking deeply and interviewing a lot of women to get all that information.
How long ago was that, Mal?
My own personal experience happened, started in 2013.
Yeah.
And I discovered an awful betrayal in my marriage. And the thing about betrayal is that it doesn't make any difference what somebody else does. And the act of betrayal, it's different for each woman, but the wound is the same in all of us. And it cuts so deeply into our core that it paralyzes us. And when I saw that in myself and in others, I said, how do we fix this? How do we get up? How do we reclaim our lives again? And that's what the book is about. It's about finding the wisdom in the wound.
Now, you wrote the book, but you're also interested in doing workshops. You're a spiritual teacher and life teacher. What's this all about now?
Well, I read an awful lot of books. I take an awful lot of classes. I do a lot of meditation and writing to figure things out, to figure the big things out, the painful things out. And I have learned so much from those situations that I feel I need to share what I have learned that I know will help lift other women up. So that's my mission. That's my purpose, is to really lift those women up that have been wounded and hurt, and be the wind under their wings again, and get them back up and not be afraid to love and live life again.
Kind of, how long has this book been out and you've been doing your workshops? This just came out.
This book came out on April 17th and hit 3 bestseller lists.
3 bestseller lists. And what reviews did you get so far?
Well, on Amazon there's 2 written, but in the book I think there's about 40.
Yeah.
And then Christine Carlson, who's just a magnificent woman. She's a New York Times best-selling author. She wrote the foreword. She's Richard Carlson's wife.
How did you find her?
Well, I've worked with Christine. She's been on my show a few times. I have a podcast, and I've interviewed her a few times.
Sure.
And she worked with her husband, Richard, very closely, and Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, all their books that they did together. She's just a magnificent soul. And she also understands heartbreak. When she lost Richard so suddenly, that's another form of heartbreak and just incredible feeling of loss and pain.
Yeah, trauma, big time.
So she got it. She really understood.
Now, what did you do, Mal, before you were inspired to do this? Were you working in a different kind of genre?
Not really. So my first book was 2012.
You had another one?
Yes, which was a bestseller.
What was that?
Alpha Chick.
What?
Alpha Chick.
Alpha Chick.
Yeah. 5 Steps for Moving from Pain to Power, which was a journey of my own addiction to alcoholism, and then 30 years of recovery, and the miraculous life that I have created in recovery.
Yeah.
So that was in 2012, and then I took a breather, and then my marriage unraveled unexpectedly, so I needed to get back into that deep inner work, really looking at, rather than why me,
why not?
but what can I do in this situation? How do I heal myself? Because that's the only way it happens.
We have choices.
Yeah. I cannot depend on somebody else to do my healing work for me.
Right.
And so that inspired this book.
When you were in high school, did you have any idea you might go in this direction when you graduated?
Never.
What did you do? Did you go to college after?
I went to college briefly, and then I was modeling all over the world.
What did you study in college?
Medical technology.
Wow.
I loved science
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I thought that medical technology would be, something that might even lead me on to veterinary school, because I'm passionate about animals.
Oh, yeah.
But I got an offer to go into modeling, and I worked with the best designers of the time and traveled the globe with them. So
Yeah, I remember my aunt kind of pushed me into that. My mother didn't want me to. I don't know. I thought thought I would get too full of myself if I went into modeling. But Aunt Dot was like, "Come on, you got to do it. Come on, get into it." I don't know. I didn't really listen to her. I probably should have. I did some shows, modeling shows, but I'm like, well, there are other things to do. I guess from my mother, she thought, well, it's going to get pretty shallow after a while. I don't know. But we are talking with Mal Duane, and she wrote Broken Open, Embracing Heartache and Betrayal as Gateways to Unconditional Love. And this book is chock full of stories. Now, I have her table of contents here. Always a dangerous one for the adult. I love this. Now, Chapter 1, The Wound and the Wisdom. Tell us about that one.
Well, that's really uncovering what's happening, the real story.
Yeah.
What are you meant to find in all of this? And sadly, in every experience, or I should say, it's not really sadly, but in every experience that's painful, there is always a powerful lesson about ourselves and our soul expansion and why we're here and what we're meant to do. And that first chapter is about uncovering, what do I need to learn about me here?
Right. Awesome. Okay. Your love story.
Oh, this is my favorite part. We all have love stories, Jan. And our love stories are created when we're little children.
Oh, yeah. My first crush was for first, second grade.
Well, we take on all the beliefs, the perceptions, the opinions of our parents when we're small children.
Yeah.
And what they believed, they took on from their parents. Okay. Now, that's all well and good, but it may not be applicable to us or even our truth. So when we go out in life and we're having a relationship as a mature person, we are looking through lenses that were created when we were little kids. We were taught as a child how to get love and give love in a very different way than what's applicable in the current relationship. So it's looking at your current relationship with old opinions. And we have a repetitive process in that love story. If you look at all your relationships in life, most of them will have a similarity to the one that is currently unraveling.
Yeah. I remember that. My parents are unusual. They were lovebirds. I mean, most of my friends, their mother, or had a problem, and the father was drunk. They were in their pockets. I mean, these two were lovebirds to the end.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
I saw that. I saw the affection. I saw them kidding around together. I was lucky to see that. Yeah. And that never left me.
No, it's not usually the story.
No, it's not.
I have a funny story I tell women. I say, you know what? We come to this earth as divine little beings, perfect, little, untouched by human opinion. And then we meet our parents.
Yeah.
Now, not that they're not good people, but that's when the story starts.
Yeah.
That's when we start to learn behaviors and how we get rewarded and how we get punished.
Did you love dolls and stuffed animals?
I loved stuffed animals as a child. I wasn't a big doll person, but I had a massive collection of stuffed
You didn't
animals.
walk a regular baby doll in your carriage down the street? Oh, my best friend and I, at 13, 12, we were still doing that. And yet we were tomboys building forts in the woods.
Right. I was more up in the tree, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the baby doll thing, but I don't know. I love dolls. I didn't go for Barbie. Didn't go for that too much.
Right.
Now, we have another chance. Who you really are. Now, what's that?
We are so much stronger as women than we've ever been taught. We really have incredible power. We also have all the tools we need within us to do what we need to do in this lifetime.
Right.
However, we constantly look outside of ourselves for tools and solutions that may not be
Yeah.
the most powerful things that we can work with.
Right. Oh, so true. How can they get a hold of your book, Mal? How can
Well, Amazon.com, just put in Broken Open or my name, Mal Duane, and then Broken Open, and it is on Amazon.com.
Yeah. And you have been appearing where?
Oh, let's see. I've been on many podcasts, and I'm recording 2 shows tomorrow. I will be at a women's book signing retreat up in North Reading in May, and I will be in Hingham in June at another women's retreat. So I'm kind of going all over, sharing this message.
Yeah.
It's a conversation we need to have collectively.
Well, like you're going to be coming up at Tatnut pretty soon.
Yes.
Did you connect with Deb Horan at Book Lovers Gourmet? You're going to love it.
Yeah, not yet, but I will be.
Oh, I send more authors out there, and she runs that. It's the most cozy, well-loved bookstore right over in Webster, right off Route 16.
A lot of the local independent stores are beautiful. They're wonderful. I love them.
Yeah, they are. Now, a broken heart is a badge of courage.
Yes.
I agree.
Women feel that when they've ended up in a relationship that's ended, and we are feeling brokenhearted, we feel that in some way we are now diminished. We are less than. We are not as good as we were. That there is nothing further from the truth. The fact that we're in pain shows that we have capacity to love greatly and deeply. And I want women to remember that takes courage.
Oh, yeah.
To be vulnerable and to love takes courage. And therefore, that broken heart is a sign of your courage. It is the badge of courage. You should be proud of it.
Exactly. You know, one thing about her book is that, to me, it relates to many different generations, right?
Yes.
It's not just, I see the senior centers, I see seniors, as well as boomers and Gen Xers, and even some of the millennials coming up. This has a wide, definitely, appeal, because what woman hasn't gone through something like this, right? Was it hard for you to get people to open up and share their stories?
No, not at all.
No.
Women were, I was surprised that once I was in that place of deep discomfort from what had happened, I started meeting so many women who wanted to share their stories with me. I would go places and unexpectedly someone would start telling me about an experience of betrayal in the relationship they had been in or the marriage that they had been in that ended. I was like, I can't believe that these women are just coming out of nowhere and telling me this. So it was obviously something I needed to hear that that prompted the book. Absolutely. But even though that's geared towards women, men can do all of this work too.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
men can feel very brokenhearted as well, but they deal with it in a very different way.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it in my own family. You know, I mean, girls say, well, the old thing was that the boy doesn't feel it. Oh, yes, they do.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Now, we are talking with Mal Duane, and she is a great author, a spiritual life and teacher. Are you doing any workshops locally?
Well, those 2 that I mentioned, and I don't know what else is coming. I'm in conversation with quite a few people right now after the book launch.
Yep.
So
We will get you some workshops out there. That would be absolutely wonderful. How can they reach you again?
You can go to malduanecoach.com, which is my website. I'm on Facebook also as Mal Duane Coach. If you private message me, I promise I will message you back.
And she will, too. Mal, M-A-L-D-U-A-N-E. Mal Duane. And the story behind that is your real name is Marilyn.
Yes.
But you had a little sibling who couldn't say your name?
Actually, older brother and sister who couldn't say my name when I was a baby, so they condensed it to Mal.
Were you the baby?
I'm the baby.
Still baby of 3.
Baby of 3, but the biggest baby. 'Cause they're all short and I'm tall.
Were you the heaviest
No.
when you were born?
No. I was tiny, tiny, tiny until I was 14, and then I shot up like a weed.
Yeah, we just found out that we both have birthdays in August. I don't meet that many Leos, but this is cool. But within days, so there you go. Now we have another story here. There are no victims in real love.
No.
No.
If you feel like a victim, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because love is not created to make you feel like a victim. That's not what it's about. Love should be warming and soothing and a feeling of being uplifted and bliss and joy. If you're feeling like a victim, then it's out of balance. And when it's out of balance, it's usually because of something that you're thinking and perceiving that is now creating the scale to go like this.
Now this book, a lot of it was prompted by what you went through yourself.
Yes.
Do you feel like sharing any of that?
Well, I don't really need to go into the depths of the betrayal because what I want women to do is not identify with my specific incident, because we all have incidents, and they vary greatly, but it's what the fallout is that is the common ground. Yeah. That pain of just being knocked to your knees, which I describe in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get up. I thought I was having a heart attack. My chest was pounding. I was like, this cannot be happening. And that's what women feel like. They feel like they're bleeding out at that moment of uncovering something they never knew existed or that they're not supposed to know. That's the commonality in this situation. That's where I focused my attention on. How do we get up? Mm-hmm. Many women never do.
No.
And that's why I wrote that book, because they're still in that place of feeling so wounded and so discarded and worthless. And no one should live that way.
Did you design the cover?
No, I did not.
Who did?
Well, my publisher guided me. We sat, we meditated, we prayed on that, and then we put it in the hands of the most magnificent graphic artist named Rachel Dunham. Her work is absolutely beautiful. And when they came back with that, I said, that's it. That is the break in the heart, but it's gold. It's beautiful. It is meant to teach you something. It's not meant to be dark and messy for the rest of your life. Yeah. You're meant to look inside and see that shining light of your inner beauty. That's what that is.
How long did it take you to take up the title, because it's great? How long did it come to you?
It came to me while writing the book. When I was working in the deep outline, the thought of being broken open came to me. And then as I started writing the book, and the first rounds of edits that I did with my brilliant editor, Brian Haynes, the word gateway came to me. I said, this is more than about healing. This is more than a process of just feeling better. This is a gateway. It's a cosmic entry into a whole nother level of living. And that level of living is unconditional love. And if you do the practices in the book, it takes you into that gateway.
Like you said, there's so many women who have, guys too, this is about women, who've gone through this, and you can see it, they've given up, one way or another. Depression, drinking, you name it. And, you give them a whole lot of oomph. You really do. Again, we're talking with Mal Duane. Her book is Broken Open, Embracing Heartache and Betrayal as Gateways to Unconditional Love. I mean, this is a gorgeous cover. All right, now I'm going to get you. Washing away your old love story. I like that.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, we have to start to look at the old and recognize what are the patterns that we've been doing over and over again in order to create the new. So recognizing that and saying, wait a minute, I can't believe I have repeated that in every relationship I've had. Now gives you the opportunity to start to rewrite that story and create something new. And I use the picture of like stepping into a shower and just washing your hair and just getting rid of all that old stuff.
Yeah.
And that's
Perfect
what we
analogy.
Need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Really, when you get in there, let's say it's an extra hot day in summer, you're like, oh, give me the cold shower. It's almost like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get some good analogies. You are the love you need. Oh, that is. What is it? Somebody said to me when you wake up in the morning. What was it? She said. I think it was a class I went to. You rub your hands together like this, and then go, "I am loved." Right? I am loved.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that. I liked it. I thought that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. To be honest with you, I get up every morning, I open up my windows, I look at the sun,
Yeah.
and I tell myself how precious I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you could wake up, especially if you have anxiety in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of maybe dread the day, and there's nothing to dread. There's nothing. It's just. I think sometimes it's hereditary. You know, if you got a relative who. But if you could think, okay, when you go to sleep that night, one fun thing for me am I doing tomorrow? And then focus on that the next morning. I think that helps anxiety. I don't know.
It does, and being grateful.
Yeah.
Gratitude is probably one of the most powerful things that we can tap into as women.
Yeah.
It literally just soothes you.
Mm-hmm.
It lifts you. And I write every night about gratitude before I go to sleep. I kind of recap my day and some of the great things that happened, and I'm so grateful to be able to do the work I'm doing, to serve women the way that I want to serve them, write books that will lift them up and give them a path that they can, adapt and use it in their own lives.
Right. If anybody out there would like her to come speak, again, how would they reach you now?
Well, you can just call me, Mal Duane, and you can go to my website. There's a contact area there. Just put in a message. I'll get right back to you. Or you can find me on Facebook at Mal Duane Coach, and I promise you I will respond quickly.
I know when I got her email, Keith Carrero, who has been on the show, a sci-fi author, terrific. It's so cute. She says, now Keith told me about you and this type of thing. He is great. He's one of my author clients, and I've had a lot of fun getting him scheduled to get out there, get different places. You're willing to go quite far. You told me, I think, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, anywhere else?
Connecticut.
Okay, good, Connecticut. That's good.
Yep.
You'd be surprised at how many authors are a little like, I don't want to go out of my comfort zone. I'm
Oh,
like,
no,
you're not going to get anywhere.
No, I'm happy to. Especially women's groups, if they're having a meeting, or if there's a really nice women's book club, get the book. I will come and sit with all of them, answer their personal questions.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a workshop together.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. Now, have you got another book coming? Come on.
There's a third one.
Okay, most authors have something.
There's
in you.
something that's now starting to perk in me about all of this.
Yeah.
And the third book will have nothing to do about any of my experience, because the third one is really about the path of power. And that's what my lessons have taught me.
Yeah.
How do we walk this path of power in life as a woman?
Yeah.
How do we tap into all the tools that we already have to create a glorious life? Because that's what we're here for.
Right. I hear you. It's funny. I was thinking of, I don't know if writing a leadership book or giving workshops on leadership, but in so many meetings I've been to, conferences and whatever, what is a good leader? A good leader goes around that room and finds out what each person, especially volunteers, like at a hospital, which I was on, find out what each person, why they're really there, what they want to contribute. I've seen too many where they go off with, oh, well, one speaks up more and he's high-tech. Everybody else is ignored. I'm thinking, this is grade school stuff. Never form a clique in a business group. Don't do it. You're going to, people start dropping out like flies. They're like, we don't want anything to do with it. You're a natural leader. And I guess I am. I got my parents, when I was in first grade, got a report card, and the teacher said, Janet is a leader. I'll never figure out, how could she have found that out at 6 years old? I don't remember leading the tribe, but something what is it? I don't know what they see at 6 years old, but anyway, she saw something, and I'm like, oh, my parents were in for it. So you are the youngest of three.
Yes.
Youngest of three. Now, what does your family think about your great book?
Well, it's interesting. We don't discuss too much what I write. My brother, gave me high five
Yeah.
for hitting bestseller and everything.
Sure.
I'm not sure if he's read it or not because it's really not his thing.
Yeah.
They're not into a lot of the spirituality and self-development and the work that I do.
You said you have some grandchildren. Any girls?
Yes.
Are they old enough to read?
No,
it?
the oldest one is 9.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. Mine are like that too. Yeah, again, we're talking with Mal Duane, and she's the author of Broken Open, Embracing Heartache and Betrayal as Gateways to Conditional Love. Now, I heard you say you have how do people get on your pod show?
Podcast.
How do they do that?
Well, what happens is I invite the guests that I have on the show, and most of them are really recognized women in the field of being best-selling authors, coaches, some are medical people, and they're all committed to serving women. And what's happened is the podcast is called Awakening Divine Wildness, because I believe that these women have gone through challenging experiences, which then inspired the work that they are doing in the world today.
How can people get onto this? How can they?
It's on iTunes. It's
Okay.
on iTunes,
Okay.
Spotify, all of the
All right.
any podcast channel.
And what's
it's
it
there.
called again?
Awakening Divine Wildness.
There is a show in Worcester. It's on WCRN. Frankie Boyer.
Oh, I know Frankie.
Have you been on her show?
Yes, I have.
Good.
Not recently, but I'm going to reach out to her again. She interviewed me for my first book,
Yeah.
so I have to connect about this one.
She is really good.
Yeah, I love Frankie. She's wonderful.
Do you ever listen to WBZ late at night? There's a Jay talking, Bradley Jay. He starts at midnight, and he will have different kinds of authors and people on too. He's pretty funky. He's open, and so that's another one if you want to go into the Boston area for a
Right.
midnight show. But yeah, you get to know the different personalities and.
What's interesting with these radio shows, most of them, they tape you right over the phone.
What?
Yes, they're done right over the phone. You don't go into a studio.
So you could be in your pajamas at home
Yes,
at midnight and
I've taped so many radio shows.
Huh. I was
And-
on radio, but that was back when we would have them in
And
the studio.
now they just, you put headphones on, you call in. Yep, they tape you.
Pretty cool. Well, we're going to have to close, but we're going to have you back on again. When do you think this next book is going to be out?
Oh, not for a while.
Oh, come on.
I need a little rest now.
We gotta get
and
this
I
one.
also need to do the work that's needed with this one.
Yeah, we gotta
There
get
are
this
women
one.
that want this conversation, and
Yeah.
I want to be there for them.
Oh, definitely. Also, I'm thinking about the diagnosis of cancer is a heartbreak as well.
Yes, it is.
What do you think about women's support groups for women who are going through mastectomies, things like that? Losing a breast?
That's a horrific experience. It's terrifying. It's a fear that I have dealt with, but I was being told that I might have a type of cancer several years ago, and I just never allowed myself to go to that place of not feeling unhealthy. So I dodged a bullet. But women that are in that place of dealing with cancer, my heart goes out to them. Some of the practices in here would
Definitely.
be very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is a form of heartbreak and fear to go through all of that. It's a tremendous challenge.
Grief and loss.
Grief, absolutely. And anytime there's grief and there's loss, we have to go within and deal with our pain, our fear. You can't dismiss it, because if you try to deny what you're feeling and say, be too courageous and push it aside, it's going to come right back at you and bite you in the tail again. So you've got to face what and honor what you're feeling, but work through it in a way that serves you.
And also, I know for myself, reaching out, going within is great, you get that, but also reaching out, because I'm not the type, if I were to isolate, that's toxic.
Oh, this is not about isolation.
No, no. You're doing, you're getting in touch with yourself, but realizing, I need people, I need to share this, especially with people who, like yourself, who've written a book like this. You got to read this book. There'll be a copy downstairs in the Upton Library. Read it, and then you can get a copy of her book. Have you been at Barnes & Noble yet?
Not yet.
Okay. It's not easy to get there. They're a little bit fussy. God bless them. It's much easier to get in a whole lot of other places. It really, really is. I don't know why, but it is. Thank you so much, Mal, for being with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've loved being here with you today.
That was fun, great fun. We're going to have her back on
Yeah.
again, too.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next time on Be My Guest. Did a great